Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are going over The Artist's Way. This is the week 11 check-in. I will be having the week 12 check-in probably be posted on the channel this weekend because I'm already working through it, and probably some follow-up material afterwards. I've already started perusing the recommended reading materials in the back of Cameron's book. A few of the books I already have, so I've started reading some of those as I finish the program. I'm really excited. I don't know if I mentioned this, I'm sure I've talked about it, but like follow through is a big issue for me when it comes to like self education and education in general and creative practice. And so following through on my goal of finishing this program, showing up for the morning pages, doing what I needed to do. Um, it's put me in a great mood today to realize like I'm almost at the end and like I did it. I'm almost there. So I have not, as far as the tasks for week 11, I have not done the tape recording of your own voice. I'll probably like record a video or something doing that. I just haven't done it yet. It's about reading the basic principles out loud. I did post a video where I was switching to my third composition notebook since starting the program, and I have the basic principles printed out and taped on the inside of that journal so that I can revisit them regularly. I did write out my artist prayer in longhand. I actually revised it because I think I got more clear about what it is that I wanted my prayer to say. I didn't put it in my wallet. I don't go. It's not as, to me, it's not as powerful in my wallet. Although I'll probably make like a little card I can put in my wallet at some point, maybe like a little artist card that I can keep in my purse with me. I do carry my passport traveler's notebook, so maybe something I can tuck in there so that I always have it. That might be a good idea. Buy yourself a special creativity notebook. Let me tell you, I did not need to go buy a notebook. Um, I so I did get the new composition notebook from Amazon. Not thrilled about that, but they have the composition notebooks with graph paper that takes ink almost as well as Tomo River paper, in my opinion, for all my journaling folks. You know what I'm talking about. The Tomo River paper is the paper that makes the Hobonichi so popular. Um, I really, when it comes to journaling in general and just being on paper, I really like working on graph paper or blank paper. I'm thinking I would like to switch to an A5. I really want to, when it comes to a creativity journal and just like morning pages and an all in journal, anyways, I would actually really like to go back to the Moleskine Expanded, but they are often very expensive. Um, I'm not worried about the fact that they bleed through because of the fact that I use ballpoint pens. I use the Bic Crystal pens. I'm not like a huge pen person. I am, but I can't spend that kind of money on that stuff. So I enjoy the feeling of writing with a basic ballpoint pen. I like to draw with ballpoint pens, so I stick with that. I have not, it says give one page to each of the following categories: health, possessions, leisure, relationships, creativity, career, and spirituality, with no thought as to practicality. List 10 wishes in each area. I have not done this yet. I do have the pages set up in the journal. I just have not. I have some ideas of things that I'll write down, but it's going to take me some time to really think of that many things. And she acknowledges that it's a lot. The honest changes section, inventory for yourself the ways that you have changed since the beginning. I would say more consistency and more follow through is definitely the biggest thing that I've noticed. I started my podcast. I started the Tarot Diaries project, two things that kind of go together but are also their own like entities. and they're both things that I've really wanted to work on, and I'm extremely excited I did that. I also submitted my chapbook to an indie publisher, and I'm still working to raise money for an editor to look at my book and self publish. That is something that I am able to state fairly clearly now and know that's something I want to work towards. I've also been able to unblock as far as my collage process is concerned. If you are on my Substack, you'll see I've been posting a lot of collages in the notes section because that's the main area that I share. A lot of collages have been available in my Ko-Fi shop, and I upload some designs to Redbubble. And honestly, if you see something, you can always message me, but really I'm just happy to be creating. The collaging seems to be like it seems to regulate my nervous system and make it so that I can do all of these other things. Would say that another change is like the discipline that I have. Discipline is one of those words that especially creative people don't seem to want to associate with creative work, and I have always struggled with discipline, especially like academically. It took me 13 years to get through college. I flunked out twice. Um, Even saying that here is kind of a big deal for me, but yeah, I just think that discipline is something that we have to cultivate if we want to do anything in this world. That being said, I do think that we can do it on our own terms, and it doesn't need to be like a constant grind. List 5 ways that you will change as you continue. I think the big one is confidence. I'm hoping that my confidence will continue to grow. I've been working with subliminals and affirmations. The subliminals are something I found on my own along with hypnosis, and then the affirmations is something that is instructed by Cameron. I've done them throughout the whole process of the artist way. List 5 ways you plan to nurture yourself in the next 6 months. I've got some online courses that I plan on taking, that I plan on finishing, that I haven't finished. I'm actually like, there's some other classes with creators that I would like to take, and I'm holding off on signing up for anything until I finish these. And I know I wrote a list for this, but I don't remember any of the other things. That was like the big one, was finishing the classes I've already paid for. I planned a week of nurturing for myself. It was just small, like self-care acts every day. I tried to do like a half and half split of like, a couple of them have to do with spending money, like treating myself to my favorite coffee. But, other ones are like taking a long bath or setting aside a block of time for leisure reading, which I don't do a lot of. Write and mail an encouraging letter to your inner artist. I wrote this in my journal. The post office is right down the street from me, and I'm not going to mail myself a letter. I've actually, I've done letter writing practices. I write letters to God. I've written letters that I've not sent to people that I know or people that I have known, as a way of like processing things, and it is a powerful practice. I'm just not going to put it in the mail. Once more, re-examine your God concept. Does your belief system limit or support your creative expansion? Are you open-minded about altering your concept of God? My concept of God has grown over the past year, probably 2 years, as I've studied non-duality, contemplative Christianity, and creativity. And really what it comes down to is, I think, like the non-dual aspect of the universe, which is that we are all one and we all come from the same place. I think we all come from the same source. We're all interrelated. We are all interconnected. I think is one of those spiritual beliefs that avoids any type of supremacy, which is important to me as I try to educate myself, but it also acknowledges like the divine nature of every single human being and every single creature, every single speck of dust. I think that the way Cameron talks about God as being a creative force makes a lot of sense, because I think that that is a way that we are all connected. Um, I do think God is actually bigger than that, but I do think creativity is one of the ways that God connects to us through us. But I've written a lot of poetry and have alluded to my beliefs as far as God and like what I've studied about non-duality before. And if you guys are curious, you can leave questions in the comment section and I will do an explanation video going over it further. List 10 examples of personal synchronicity that support the possibility of a nurturing creative force. I know that I have listed out the synchronicities in these videos as each week has gone on, and one of the things I struggle with is memory. So I know there was the great blue heron in the middle of the road. I remember that there was a lot of angel numbers, which you can take meaning in those or you can't. It's just like one of those little winks from the universe. I think there was a snake in the road one day. I don't remember all of them. A lot of them have to do with animals. A lot of them have to do with just paying attention to the world around you. One of the things I did do is I get in my head and overthink, because I know Instagram is kind of like a monoculture that wants you to post things and have your grid look a certain way. And I wanted my Star Moth Press account to be like my portfolio almost, where you could look and see my collage work. Um, I've also been working more and more and studying more about attention, and it's been a pivotal part of my poetry practice. So I created an account for just sharing my writing. I think I'm probably overthinking it, but it just is fun to have a space that is new and that feels very low pressure. Um, that's pretty much it. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? I did all of them. I think there was one day where I ended up finishing them later in the day. And that was the day that I had to take my daughter to the doctor. I've done a couple creative co-working sessions on TikTok Live and YouTube Live this week. I usually get on around 5:15 a.m. Central Time. So if you are ever up that early, you are more than welcome to join. That is the time that I am able to consistently show up for morning pages. So that's the time that I do it. I do morning pages. Sometimes I write more. Sometimes I collage at the end. It's creative co-working, so it's whatever you want to work on. Did I do my artist date this week? For week 11, I think I stuck with the crochet and like watching a movie or just like relaxing, giving myself permission to rest. There was a day that I actually finished a book recently, by Margaret Killjoy, and I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's one of the Danielle Kane books, and I had started it and put it down. I'd only gotten through like 10 pages, and then one day I just picked it up and read through the whole thing, and it was a really fun read. And that was kind of a day where I gave myself permission to just read the book, and that was what I focused on. And so that was my artist date. Again, we are focusing on not spending money for the artist date, and we are focusing on staying home if I can, because driving is sometimes very painful. That being said, my week 12 artist date is probably going to be Christmas shopping for people I love, but we are doing We are sticking strictly to small businesses in our local communities so that we can avoid giving over our money to larger corporations, but still support the small businesses that still need revenue so that they can have the things that they need. Um, that is a way of going about the holidays that I feel good. We also have never been a family that focuses a lot on gifts, and we usually focus more on experiences. So that is probably going to be my artist date because I'm going to get to go to some of my favorite little shops and um, get things for people that I love. And that is gift giving, and gift shopping is one of the things I enjoy doing. I also think that it's going to be a fun experience doing it not at like bigger stores, not shopping for deals. And we are not doing like I'm doing it this weekend because the general strike that's going to be taking place, I think the week of Black Friday, or not strike, blackout, where they're trying to do a targeted blackout during a certain, I think it's the 25th through the 2nd. So we're doing the Christmas shopping now this weekend and only local. But that is because that's important to us and we're able to do that. Did I experience any synchronicities this week? What was it? Well, I submitted my chapbook. I decided I was starting to write more poems that I could have easily added to it, but I decided that I wanted to let go of this project for now. And if it gets rejected, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and publish that one, self-publish it, and probably add more to it. But I felt like it was a really solid body of work, and I found a really cool indie publisher that I wanted to send it out to. That being said, I do have other works that I'm working on self-publishing, so it's not like that dream is going anywhere. I'm still working on my mail club so that I can fund getting an editor and editing works that I want to self-publish. The synchronicity that came up after that was that the very night that I submitted that chapbook, I got a rejection for a few poems from a literary journal. So I was just thinking about the fact that there's probably less traditional ways that I need to think about going about sharing my work. And that was kind of like a confirmation of that. Not that getting published in literary journals is a negative thing. I've done that before. I had a poem in Pile Press, and I've been in the Rebus for the Star issue and the Devil issue. So, and that was artwork, not writing. But I do think that at a certain point we have to look at what we have at our like what the resources that we have and what we can do to share our work in other ways, because traditional routes don't always work for everyone. I didn't really have any other issues with my recovery this week, and like I said, I'm going to be back later this week with my week 12 check-in. So stay tuned for that. Hit the bell, like, subscribe, do all the things. Check out episode 2 of Living Practice, my podcast about creative living. And I hope you guys have a great week and that you do something creative today. Bye.